pitching and watching a foul ball and watching a swing and watching a guy how he gets into the box or watching him walk from the on-deck circle to the batter's box, watching him in pressure situations when you're not in the game, watching him in leading off an inning and the score 7-0 compared to leading off an inning and the score is 1-0. Guys change. They change. And you should be able to pick up on all those cues.
Wow. Well, Dr. Hershiser, thank you for coming on episode 55.
As always, our episode is brought to you by Legends Addict. We have a great partnership with them, and they put on amazing events.
And we will be at all of them. And did you see the new piece when you walked in today?
I haven't.
We have like this Dodger wall when you first walk in. Joe Kelly, Freddie. Oh, and a Fernando
Who's
piece.
going to pay attention to a new piece here at Legends Attic where I'm a part owner when I'm here with you? Aren't they going to pay attention to me?
I was getting to you
610
next.
Foothill Boulevard. This is an amazing place. We're in the Dodger room right here. That's why the walls are blue. And a lot of the stuff here is museum pieces, which is my stuff, and a lot of it's for sale. And we would hope that you would not steal the museum pieces and buy something that's retail.
Mm-hmm. We've got this epic picture I'm looking at right now with Orel and Tommy, the 55 jersey. I mean, this
You
place
have to
is the
learn
best.
about broadcasting. You got to hit talkback, and you got to tell the producer to get to that shot. So you guys put this in. Adam, you make sure you take a picture of that little whatever she was saying. Was it a picture of me?
Right there in
Oh,
the
me
corner.
and Tommy with the champagne.
We can add that into the shot.
We're going to tell a story about Tommy and Orel. Make sure you have a picture of that. All right, ready,
Are
break.
you wearing, do you have your World Series ring with you? Or
No,
on?
I'm not.
I want to recreate that photo we took.
I have my David Yerman, and they haven't even paid me to say that. You can't buy this at Legends Attic.
Anyway, come check out Legends Attic. We will be at all the events. Make sure to follow them and us on social media, and we'll keep you up to date with what's going on.
We are the sponsor for this show because we saw these girls working and we thought it was fantastic. We wanted to get behind them and make them more popular, and hopefully it'll make Legends Attic more popular too.
Please, so with that, please subscribe, follow, share all our posts. That's what actually helps us the most.
And tell us when you're coming, and maybe you'll see us too.
Don't share anything that embarrasses me, please.
Oh, yeah.
And now to the episode.
Oh, we got an episode now? I thought that we were done.
I just want somebody to talk Dodgers to me. Well, Orel, I have to do the spiel that we do with all the guests.
You're
So even though
welcome.
you've been here multiple times, we haven't got you for a whole episode, so I got to do the spiel.
When's the last show that I did?
Right after
You
Kirby.
came on with when we did Rick
In the
and
30s,
Kirby.
maybe?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, I figured, you got 55 jerseys on, so I'm figuring the number of the show is
55.
5. And we
Okay.
got Bulldog.
bull pup,
All right.
That's what we are.
chihuahuas.
We're little bull chihuahuas, and we're learning to be a bulldog.
We are.
I don't want you guys to be a bulldog, please. My wife doesn't like to see bulldog, and you guys don't want to see bulldog, and I don't want you
Our
turning
own
into
version
bulldog.
of what our bulldog is.
Okay. All right.
Bulldog on the field.
All right. Bulldog on the mic.
So we're back at our favorite place, Legends Attic in Claremont, with our favorite Dodger legend, World Series champ, World Series MVP, Cy Young winner, Silver Slugger, Gold Glove winner, Dr. Orel Leonard Hershiser IV.
Oh,
Wow, what an intro.
Orel, thank you
Oh,
so much for coming back.
Do you have a middle name?
Anne.
Do you have a middle name?
Murray.
Anne Murray, I'm with.
We've anticipated you coming on for the show. We've gotten you for little spurts,
Yeah.
but now we've got you for a whole hour.
Oh,
And we've got to ask the Bulldog,
okay.
where did your love for baseball even begin?
Oh, wow, you're going to make me cry.
It's okay. We like to cry.
We're trying to do that right off the bat.
There you go. Love for baseball. My mom told me that my first word was ball, not mom or dad or no. Some
my
people say
gosh.
that. Yeah, I guess and I had a ball in my crib because that was my first word. And maybe I was out of a crib by the time I said it. But, And then everything in my life was a ball. I mean, it was like I would walk around with it, they said, wherever. And I was pretty good early on. So when I was like 5 and 6 years old, my parents said that I would play with the older kids in the neighborhood. And back then you could play in the street, right? And you play pickup ball and all that. And on a front lawn, and we'd lay out bases, and the kids would come over and they'd call through a screen door, like, can Orel come out and play? You went calling to get your team. And they said I was real good with those guys, even though they were 2 and 3 years older than me. And so my dad forged my birth certificate when I was 7 years old and made me 8 years old. So I played Little League ball as an 8-year-old for 2 years.
Wow.
And driving to my game, and when my dad signed me up, he's like, Orel, you are now 8. I'm like, Dad, I'm 7.
That's
He's like,
interesting.
you're 8.
Because I hear about a lot of parents doing that nowadays with
really?
youth or holding them back so that you're younger and an old, it's like,
Yeah.
so your dad was
Strategy.
ahead of the game.
Yeah. And my birth certificate, actually, you could see the eraser mark where he erased, 1958, he made it 1957. I'm like, I know, I'm not that old. But yeah, so I guess I fell in love with baseball, and my parents probably encouraged it by changing my age. And the great thing was, as a 7-year-old / 8-year-old, I hit like 750. And the next year I was hitting like 150. And I was older and in the same league, playing against the same competition. And so they took me to the eye doctor, and the eye doctor said, your son sees the trees, he just doesn't see the leaves anymore. So I had glasses as of when I was 8 years old, those Clark Kent glasses. And that's the reason I never dated anybody for a long time.
Do you talk to Kike and now Muncie, the one they're wearing glasses now?
I know, and it seems like it's for stigmatisms. They say their vision is still like 2010, 2012, whatever, And we didn't find out in baseball that players had better than 20/20 vision until UCLA came and studied the Dodgers. And they came down and did our eye test, but they went beyond 20/20 on purpose to see if athletes and hitters had better vision than that. And that's when I found out I had 20/10 vision, but it was with contacts. But yeah, guys on the team were, having this great vision, and we started to find out that there are people with better vision than 20/20.
Maybe our
fighter
whole team
pilots.
should go to the eye doctor. Just check
to
it out. See
Instead
who
of-
else
UCLA
needs
should
glasses.
do a new study.
Yeah, I'm sure they are now that they've had people like that. But Kike's happened kind of mid-season. Muncie's happened kind of early season. So, but they all get it done in spring training.
Oh,
It's part of
okay.
their physical.
Gotcha.
But if they go south, maybe then they check it again.
When did you really get into pitching and realize that you were good?
Well, after playing in Little League and doing really well, I would say at 8 years old, there's a contest called Punt, Pass, and Kick. That was football one. And in baseball, there was Throw, Hit, and Run, and it was sponsored by Persona Razor Blades. And I was in the Detroit area. We lived in Southfield, Michigan. And I did the Throw, Hit, and Run, and I won the area. And then they compare your scores to the whole state of Michigan, and I won that. And then they compare your scores to the region, and I won that at 8 years old. So my dad and I got to fly from Detroit to Yankee Stadium for the national finals, and I was third in the nation. I think a kid from Texas won it or something. But it was a great experience to go to Yankee Stadium, to be, they had us down in the bullpen, and I got to see guys do their side work, and then we went out and did the contest on Yankee Stadium while the fans were kind of filing in. And that was the beginning of, like your earlier question about when I fell in love with baseball. That's when I fell in love with, I want to be a big leaguer. Because, I'm there and these men are giants and it's Yankee Stadium and they're wearing pinstripes. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is amazing.
Who did you look up to?
Yeah.
Because we hear so many stories of how your career has been such like a pivotal thing in a lot of young athletes. So
Who was your Orel Hershiser?
Well, my Orel Hershiser turned into a criminal. So when I was 10 years old, that was 1968. And in 68, the Detroit Tigers won the whole world championship. And there was a man named Denny McClain who won 31 games that year for the Detroit Tigers. There was a man named Mickey Lolich, a left-handed pitcher that won 3 games in the World Series. There was Al Kaline and, Mickey Stanley and, all these guys. Dick McAuliffe, Bill Freehan was the catcher. I could name the whole lineup, Gates Brown, Willie Horton. So Jim Northrup, names keep popping in my head. But so Denny McClain was my hero. He won 31 games. And then Lolich, left-handed, couldn't have been my hero because I'm right-handed, but he won 3 games in the World Series. And I had an album called The Year of the Tiger, and it was Ray Lane and Ernie Harwell, 2 great announcers. And I used to play that album after that year all the time to go to bed, an album, people. Anybody out there know what an album is? Record 33, goes around on a turntable.
Those are popular again.
They are. It's like cool if you have one.
Yeah, it's really cool with the scratches and all that. Yeah. Boom, 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 boom,
I would hate to call it vintage, but I'm just saying, even with all your guys' style, that's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah.
It's back now, all of it.
It is. You see that, and people pull out their old collections, and they're actually of value, because they're reprinting a lot of the records. But yeah, so that was the record that put me to sleep. I was the kid that had my baseball glove under my pillow. If it was a new one for a new season, I'd have it under the mattress to kind of have it folded correctly. We had glove oil back then. We had shoestrings that we would tie the glove up in the shape you wanted it. Yeah.
So you were passionate about it very hard.
Yeah, it was a big deal. It was a big deal. And, that maybe made me do my homework so I could actually go to the games.
And were your parents really supportive of this dream of yours?
Yeah, my parents were actually, my mom would work the concession stand. My dad was an umpire. He was a coach. Some of my fondest memories of my father was that our Little League field was the parking lot was up here and it was rock, and then you'd come down like an embankment down into where the field was if you made it to the majors where the 10 to 12-year-old guys play. And so when I was in majors, one of my favorite things was to watch my dad's car pull up and watch him in the trunk of his car taking his clothes off and putting on his umpiring uniform or his coaching shirt and having him run down to the field because he was a traveling salesman. And a lot of times the plane didn't land till 4 and the game's at 6 and he's hustling to get over there. So, you just got to see the passion and the love of he wanted to be there for you. And then mom's in the concession stand, and if you win, you get a cold drink and a hot dog.
That's amazing. We were just talking about it because we both are very close with our moms. Mother's Day's coming up. But,
Right.
I was very blessed to have both parents be very present and very supportive. And they were always just like my biggest cheerleaders. And so I get what you mean. Like when I'm playing softball and I see my dad's truck come down the hill and I can, I'm at the plate and I know he's just getting to my game and it's like coming from work. And it's like, it's really special.
Yeah.
I loved hearing a story you told that reminded me of my dad a bit. One of my favorite letters that I read, he writes, no matter what it is, whether it's homework, housework, cheerleading, I was a cheerleader back in the day, give it your all. Mm-hmm. And I really take that into my life in all that I do. And I heard you telling a story of cleaning the garage.
Yeah.
And how he went to go see how you did and sent you back a couple times because he didn't think the job was finished.
Yeah.
So how did that moment create a mindset for you that you took into the rest of your life?
Yeah, I gave that speech, and it was probably, in social media, that was part of my Legends speech when the Dodgers put me into the Legends of Dodger baseball. And, they give you 5 minutes, and you've got to capsulize, and thank all the people in your life. And I wasn't just going to thank mom and dad. I had to tell people, why they were so special. And that story of me cleaning the garage, then my dad coming from the family room where he was watching a sporting event that I probably wanted to watch also, but my chore was that day to clean the garage. He'd come up, open the garage door, and just say, not yet. And he wouldn't even tell me what was wrong. And so by the 3rd time he did that, I took everything out of the garage. The old tires, because these are people that lived through the Depression that saved flat tires. They saved broken rakes. They saved everything, mop handles. Take it all out, and you're squirting down the rafters, and you're squirting down the shelves, and you're squirting down over here, and now you're brooming and with soap on the get the oil stains off. You're waiting for it to dry. Now you're bringing everything back in and organizing it. And when I finally did it for like the 3rd or 4th time, I said, yeah, I'm ready for you to look at it, Dad. And he opened the door and he goes, I'm going to cry, but yeah, well done. So, I mean, that teaches you about detail. And, you know, it teaches you that, you know, when you're going to do a job, do your best. But he really taught me about inspecting my own work, you know, and that's the way I kind of went about pitching. Is, you know, every single detail. I didn't throw 100 miles an hour. I didn't even throw 95. You know, I wasn't the biggest and strongest. You know, I pretty much could palm a basketball with my chest. You know, I could put my shoulders together and put a basketball there. And so I had a concave chest. You know, you go in the locker room and you're showering with these guys that are like man mountain. And you're like, how am I going to compete with these guys? And you just say, it's going to be strategy. It's going to be figure out this game, figure out how to win, figure out how to locate the ball, figure out how to make it move, figure out how to repeat your delivery, figure out how to train better than them, figure out how to still be feeling good in the ninth inning as good as you were in the first. And then it's study the rest of the game so you can help your teammates study the turn at second base and why the second baseman wants to be led, but the shortstop says, give it to me early so I can, as I'm running, I don't have to slow down. I want it like a step before so I can go through the bag. But the second baseman coming from the other direction wants it right there, because if he gets it right there, then he can cause his momentum to go the other way. So the second baseman doesn't want to be led as much.
So you took a lot of pride in like the details, you know, because like listening to your story, you do say a lot how you knew you weren't the best, and like, you know, you had to do other things to give yourself the edge. But I guess for me, it's like, I even resonate now trying to even come into what we're doing now and have that confidence and know there's still a lot for you to learn. But how do you dig deep, and what did you do mentally to like find that confidence in yourself? Because people can tell you all day that you're great. You know, Lasorda can give you the name Bulldog.
Right.
How do you live into that? How do you become the Bulldog?
Yeah, so you get the name Bulldog because the manager, Tommy Lasorda, doesn't believe that you believe in yourself. And he wanted me to be called Bulldog so that every time he bellowed it was an example of, I believe in you. I think you're a big leaguer. I think you can get these guys out, and I want you to draw on that and be confident. So 2 guys went into the Hall of Fame in the same year, Paul Mahler, a hitter, and Dennis Eckersley, the great reliever. And if you listen to their speeches, you will see that they are both running in the same direction. But one is running towards winning, and one is running away from losing. It's the same direction. So I was a guy that always ran away from defeat. Okay? Because I, you know, was last to shave, last to date, last to get strong, last to have a growth spurt. You know, we've talked about, you know, I won that contest at 8 years old, and I joke because I say, you know, my career went downhill from there, because I didn't make varsity in high school till my junior year. I didn't make really an impact in college till my junior year, and that was when I was drafted, and it wasn't a first round, it was a 17th round. So I had a lot of bullying that was good for me later, but have a lot of scars from that, not being in the A group, not being, you know, bell bottoms and no hair gel. I was pretty ugly with the Clark Kent glasses, you know. So, and, you know, I went to prom in white tails and a tux and a red cummerbund and all that
picture.
stuff.
We need that picture.
So, you know, with a cane and a hat too. Oh, it's like the worst. So, you know,
Okay, so
cane,
when you
a
watch
white cane.
for
and a,
show,
and a hat.
or did
watch
you
No,
Dumb
as
and
part of
Dumber?
the whole costume.
When you watch Dumb and Dumber, you're
Yeah.
like, did you guys copy my look?
Exactly.
I got my first spray tan for prom, which was not the best idea.
Right. So, yeah, you know, you always go back and look at those pictures. What I'd say like 5 years is the cutoff when you start looking back and go, oh, why did I do that? So, yeah, so I wasn't the most confident guy, but I wanted everything that I saw everybody else had. And so I was running from defeat, athletically, socially, strength, all the different topics. And finally, I hit a spurt like freshman year in college through sophomore year in college, where I was eating 5 sandwiches for lunch and 2 full meals and 3 desserts and milkshakes, and I was putting weight on finally, and my body was starting to fill out a little bit, because I was 6 foot, 160 pounds up until like freshman summer, sophomore summer of college.
Wow.
That's a pretty late growth spurt to gain 20 pounds and grow 3 inches like in a summer. Like
That was another thing your dad pushed you that summer and pushed you back to school.
yeah, that's where.
And that's kind of when you gained the weight and you.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw the speech, but I gave 3 commencement addresses at Bowling Green, and they just gave me an honorary doctorate. And I spoke at 9 o'clock in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 7 o'clock at night. And the last one got a standing ovation. And but all I did was tell my story, my Bowling Green story, which is academically ineligible my freshman year with like a 1.6 and a 1.2. I ran away from home. My girlfriend broke up with me. I hitchhiked back to New Jersey from Bowling Green, Ohio, ran out of money kind of like mid-Pennsylvania. My dad had to Western Union me money to take a bus home to Detroit. And then when I got home, it was pretty much you're either going back to school or going to work. And we weren't sure Bowling Green was going to let me back into school because I was so bad and I ran away and didn't even take finals. So they let me back in, but they said you have to go to summer school and get good grades. And I went to summer school, and I think I did 2 or 3 classes and got a 4 point or whatever I got back in. And then all of a sudden, freshman year, I'm not real good and don't make the team and run away from home. And now sophomore summer comes and I'm, growing 3 inches and gaining 20 pounds. And without Bowling Green, I don't think there's a number 55.
Yeah.
I don't think there is, because if I go back to work, I don't think my parents would have said, let's apply at another college. I think I would have gone to work. And my dad happened to be a part owner of a printing company. And that's why I was going to school anyway and selling and sales management to be part of that company someday.
Ooh.
And then baseball panned out, but I would have been driving a forklift at or jogging. My summer job was to be a jogger on a printing press, and here come all the things, and you take a whole bunch of the papers and you rattle them on a shaky board, and you have tape all over your hands because you're getting paper cuts. And then you're putting it onto the skid. And, when the skid gets to be about 6 foot high, the wrapping machine comes and wraps it up and puts it on the truck. And that's how all the coupons get to you, or the freestanding inserts in the Sunday newspaper.
But that's what's inspiring, is because, so many athletes, that's what I was good at. I was good at sports. School wasn't something that always came easy, but I also could have applied myself probably more. But your story was really inspiring, because I think that's a lot of, student athletes. Not everyone gets straight A's. Sometimes you are ineligible, and it can really get you to a point where you're like, maybe I do give up and just not do this. And it was, not only did you go back to school and you got to what you got to, but now you're a doctor. You got your doctorate. And but I'm saying that's inspiring even for me, of someone who looks back at my schooling and what it could have done for my athletics in a different sense. And it kind of, I beat myself up about it, but you hear stories like you, and it's but you didn't just stop. You kept going. And
you
I think
also
that's
had people
amazing.
that believed in you. And it seemed like Tommy saw something in you that you maybe didn't see in yourself yet. And it was like he flipped your mindset from avoiding defeat to let's learn to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tommy's impact was, he was my baseball father. My true father was there to support me and my mom to get me to that point. But then when they kind of handed me to Tommy Lasorda and I made it to the big leagues, my baseball father really did, because Tommy was the kind of guy that would run through the wall and not care that it knocked him over and gave him an eye. He'd be like, I'm going to figure out a way to run through you again. Where I'd be like, I guess we're not going to do that. But yeah, it was Tommy's. He would describe it as he gave me confidence, but he just didn't give up on me either. And I think he saw a pretty good sinking fastball and a good curveball, and he's like, if I can get that guy to believe in those pitches and throw them over the plate, we got something. So when you're in the minors and you're drafted and you have 4.5 years in the minor leagues and 2 Arizona instructional leagues and a Dominican Republic winner and a Venezuela winner, and you get called up to the big leagues and your first inning, you get out of it in 8 pitches. I'm thinking he thought he had something, but he also saw me go ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, strike 1. He saw me trying to be perfect. And I think Bulldog was the whole idea of, you belong here, throw strikes, you have good stuff, let's go. And when you hear me say, come on, Bulldog, that's when I'm believing in you and I need you to believe in you. And the execution of that is throwing strikes, you know. And he's like, if you follow what I tell you to do, you're going to be flying in Lear jets. And if you don't, you're going to be robbing church boxes.
Yeah.
And,
But how amazing to have someone like guiding you in that sense, because it is scary to get and put yourself in these positions and you're in these rooms and you have to now execute. And, you know, as an athlete, it's fun to thrive and to rise to that occasion. But in life, it doesn't always work out that way. And it's like, I think that's why I love sports so much. And even talking about it, you pull from that confidence of what you were on the field.
Yeah, and everyone talks about, you know, your 59 scoreless innings or 67, depending on who you're talking to. There are even fights in our comment section about that.
Yeah.
And moments that people recognize of Orel Hershiser. And I'm wondering, when you look back at your career, what are the moments for you that you are really fond of and that stick out to you?
Yeah. I'll answer that question, and then I want to go back to something for you guys. But I would say the best moments are the team moments, not the individual moments, because that's what lives on. So the last out of the World Series, watching Gibby hit his home run in Game 1, watching Soch hit the home run and being there while he hits it off of Dwight Gooden in the playoffs, you know, things that happened in Cleveland. I know this is a Dodger talk show, but, you know, my 3 years in Cleveland were so memorable, and we lose in Game 7 in extra innings to the Marlins. You know, we lose to a one-hitter and a home run by Dave Justice in 95 to the Atlanta Braves. But going through all of that as a team and accomplishing so much, and one time winning it and 2 other times losing it by a hair, those are the experiences I remember, because then when you see your teammates, there's stories, there's camaraderie. It doesn't matter if I haven't seen you in 5 years. And yes, there's social media. And yes, you text a little bit or make a call. But in person, there's just immediately a bond. You know?
Do you think that's why you got so emotional with the Gibby when he came to throw out the pitch? I mean, we talk about it because we were born in '88, but that was one, like, I could say confidently that was my favorite moment in baseball from just watching. I didn't watch it with me, but like clips. And now we have this Freddie thing. Yeah. And that's like, now it's like, that was ours. That was our Gibby moment. And like, what is it like to live through both? Like,
how do you think about that as a Dodger player on the '88 team, watching what just happened last season? What does it mean to you?
I mean, you know, Joe Davis's call is ridiculous. And it's, you know, for Joe, it's, you know, Freddie meet Gibby. But for me, it's just, we're living vicariously through Freddie with all of our memories of what Gibby did. And when Gibby threw out the first pitch and he actually had the bat that was auctioned off for like $500,000, and the person who bought it gave it back to him. And here we are. It was me, Tommy, and Gibby as part of the ceremony at Dodger Stadium. And you know, after it was over, there was time for a picture and a handshake. And when I shook Gibby's hands, I think there's actual sound of it, but you know, I said in his ear, "You changed everybody's life." And it wasn't just the home run; it was he was Tommy Lasorda's confidence and passion and energy and you know, never say die. Gibby, I always describe Gibby, and I told Joanne, his wife, as we just had a celebration this last year with Gibby coming out, I told Joanne, you know how I describe your husband? And she said, how? And I said, he will either kill you or die for you.
Wow.
And that's how he is. And that's the kind of culture he created in the locker room for us, where Tommy could preach it. And Tommy could put it out there as the image of the team. But until you have that guy on your team that lives it, and doesn't let you get outside that box of, we are going to win today and we are not going to give up and we are going to hustle and we're going to play like it's the last game on earth. That's Tommy's message, but Gibby was doing it. So that's completely different. But the one subject that we left was this whole not give up and parents that support you. And you guys both want to get married and have families. And I think it's going to get harder and harder to teach future generations about this not give up, because so much is now provided for kids, and we're seeing it even at Legends Attic. We're seeing it in some of the companies I'm associated with or with our car dealerships. There's so much like just handed or available now that it's hard to be firm with the last generations because they're not used to anybody calling them on the carpet or scolding them or saying, no, finish your homework, or no, that garage is not clean enough.
Right. Or no, you're not going to come and sit down on this couch and have this moment with me watching the game. As much as that's beautiful too,
there's just no support for the parent that wants to teach their child that. And we're seeing that, in the workforce, and we're seeing that in the culture, that nobody is really kind of going, no, you can't do that. You need to go this direction. No, you can't have that. No, you'll get it if you do this. And we're very fortunate that that's kind of almost part of our interview process and culture. We're looking for people that have parents that did that for them, because it's a great tool. You might not like being that parent. You might not get supported as that parent. You might not like being the child that's getting parented that way. But when you turn somewhere between 17 to 25 years old, you're going to realize, like, I'm glad they gave me this work ethic. I'm glad they, kept me within the speed limit.
Totally.
It's what's best for the kids. And I even can think of specific moments where I'm crying because my mom made me drink milk before I could have soda. And those things that I'm so grateful for, that, not a crazy discipline, but right and wrong, and bringing me up with values and morals and things I believe in. Yeah.
I think the road to success a lot goes through the things you don't want to do. If you think about how you're going to improve and how you're going to grow as a person, I don't think that always comes from success. I think it comes from difficult times and how you pushed through them and didn't give up. And I just think that's real important. That was one of the bullet points on my Bowling Green speech, but I never used it in that one. But
the floor is yours.
Yeah,
but that's so true.
I should go back and get my notes, because it was probably like 9 bullet points, and I might only use like 3. And I don't even think I looked at my notes, because it was just like, you're looking out at a whole bunch of cap and gowns, of 700 to 1,000 kids, maybe more. You're going to be sitting there waiting as they read their names. And you're in charge of giving a commencement address that they want under 10 minutes. And it's like, what are you going to say to these kids? I mean, by the 7 o'clock one, I thought some had some alcohol.
But I think what you're saying is, don't be afraid to fail, because at least for me, I learn mostly from making mistakes. That teaches me what I want, what I don't want. But that was a kind of a hurdle I had to jump over to even get to the confidence and self-awareness to understand, to be okay with failing. But now it's like, okay, let's just get into this, because then I'm quicker to make the mistake and then quicker to make it work out, but also just believing in yourself too.
Well, and a lot of people don't want to talk about failures because you don't want to hurt someone's feelings, or you don't want to, and I said to Melissa, I'm so excited to sit down with Orel, because I do want kids, and I pray that I'm blessed with kids who love athletics the way I did, and to be able to hear nuggets from you with what your upbringing was and what it is that you went through, and be able to hear that myself and learn and know the things that I want to instill in my kids when they're at that moment. It's a blessing, and I hope you know that it doesn't go unnoticed.
You guys are, we're episode 55. You guys are still growing in this industry, but you guys are doing a great job. You have an amazing producer / director / editor in Adam. And so the ground is very ripe for you guys to succeed. And I think it'll be great. And the more you're yourselves, and the more you do make a few mistakes and then turn around and go back and get better, I think it'll be great. I think it will be great no matter what. It takes effort. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to continue to watch you guys grow, and I enjoy just watching you guys be yourself. I'm a so-called professional speaker now, right? I'm an announcer. I get paid sometimes to give a speech. I'm a spokesperson for some companies. And I've learned over the years of like, I watch what I don't like more than I watch what I like. And what I don't like is somebody who doesn't speak from their heart. And what I do like is it could be a war veteran that's lost part of his arm, that has lost part of his leg. He's limped up on stage. He's got a little bit of a stroke because now he's 60 years old and had a stroke, but his talking is still there, but it's kind of slurred. And he's speaking from his heart, and I'm hanging on every word. And then I've seen the guy in the three-piece suit go up there. He's all polished, he's got his charts that he's putting up, and he's doing his whole pointer thing. And I don't hear a word he says. I know it's canned, and I know it's not from his heart. And that's what I think about when I broadcast or give a speech. It's like, yeah, do I plan some things? Do I look at some topics? Do I try and read the audience, or do I ask about who the audience is going to be? What age? What are they doing? Are they in sales? Are they in management? How far are they coming? Oh, these are the top of the whole company. Oh, it's just the whole general population. And so I got a feeling of what's going on. And then I'm like, okay, what do I have in my life that maybe could reach these people? And then I go up and I just do it. And I don't really ever look at my notes. They're kind of a crutch. They're in front of you. But, and I don't know how you guys prepare for this stuff or what where you go with this. But, I think you guys have a lot of potential.
Well, thank you.
And it's already there. I know you guys are subscribing and you're out there. And how many do we have now?
Episodes?
No,
how many subscribers?
subscribers.
How many followers on Instagram?
Oh, a couple thousand.
Couple thousand. Here we go.
10,000 plus on social media.
We want to get to like
But let's-
300,000. Come on.
Let's get into,
What?
pitching a little bit. I'm curious, and the hot topic that everyone's talking about is the influx of pitching injuries. You pitched into your 40s. So how did you go from year to year with making adjustments and changing your prep as you were getting older and as you're using your arm more?
Yeah.
How did you go about that?
Well, at the 99 win mark and a world championship ring, I ended up with anterior labrum shoulder reconstruction. So I have 3 Mytech bone anchors in the front of my shoulder. It wasn't supposed to save my career. And Dr. Job said that you'll be lucky if you come back in 2 years. I pitched in the big leagues 13 months later. So that work ethic and that tolerance for pain, helped again to get me to come back. And then we ended up with more than 200 wins. So Dr. Job, when I was in pain coming back from that injury, I told him, you can shoot me up like a horse. I need at least one more win. I need to get to 100.
Yeah.
And we got to 200.
And they weren't afraid of you getting re-injured,
Well,
coming back that quickly?
no, because I had to hit these marks of flexibility. You have to hit these marks of throwing, and then the next day you can still do all your exercises, and your therapist knows, your flexibility is still there, so you must not be lying about your arm. And so we just built it up, and I just said, you know what, it hurts, but I know the pain will go away. I fell out of my bed one night in an earthquake here in LA. And I landed on the shoulder.
Oh,
and I called Dr. Job.
That's like a
Freddie
Freddie in the shower. On the
So
same
yeah,
ankle.
I called Dr. Job like at 2 a.m. after the earthquake, and he's like, Orel, I could drop you off a 5-story building on that shoulder and it would not get hurt. I don't know if he's really meant that, but he wanted to give me confidence.
Okay.
So, we're talking about this generation of pitching injuries and how could we pitch 300 innings or 260 innings? How could we do 35, 36 starts plus the playoffs? How could we throw 110 to 140 pitches in a game? It's a different culture. It's a different mindset. I think these athletes could do that, but they're not trained to do it anymore. You can train off the field, but until somebody lets you throw the 110th pitch in the 6th and 7th inning and says you've got 2 more innings and you get up to 130, how are you ever going to have the endurance to throw those last 25 pitches? So they're not trained to do that. The roster in our day was 10 pitchers. Now it's 13, 14 sometimes. In our day, we weren't expected to throw every pitch almost as hard as we can with full effort. We were expected to pitch and create movement. And there were guys that could throw it as hard as they do, 100 miles an hour. But those were maybe like 6 guys in the league. Now you have 6 guys on every staff that throw 95 and above. because they're trained for it, they're lifting weights for it, they're looking at video for it, they're getting measurements for it. And so everything is so measured and so particular to do something at 100% that I don't think our body can do it
Right.
at 100%. And you don't have great mechanics every throw. So when you're doing something like at 85% and you semi-twist your ankle as you're running, you don't twist your ankle. You just, oh, that was a twist, and you keep on going. But if you're doing it at 100% in a sprint and you semi-twist your ankle with a bad, you might bust your ankle.
Yeah, you're right.
Right?
You're right.
So that full effort, full strength, full flexibility, full everything. And then when it's not perfect, which it's not perfect a lot. It's not perfect when you're throwing a ball down a hill where the reliever comes in and he's got a different hole and he's got a different stride length than the starter on the opposing team. And it doesn't all feel perfect.
Right. I know. It's almost like I get pitchers are supposed to, the goal is for them not to hit the ball, but they're going to hit the ball. And a part of me is like, people are so hard when they're like, why are they hitting him so much? It's like, okay, well, the fielders are there. Like, it's okay if they hit him. They're going to hit him.
Right. Yeah.
Do you think now with the game and where it's going and how it's shifted, if you want to be a pitcher and you decide that early, you're almost looking at it as two different careers, like getting to draft as the career, and then you might have to have a surgery, and then that's a whole other career?
You definitely are probably thinking there'll be a surgery sometime if you're going to be a pitcher. It's risky, but you love it, and I think the injuries are really coming from the practice is too hard. Everything is measured, and the experimenting because now they know super slow-mo what your fingers did. And they know with that release point how much spin was created and what the angle of the spin was, and then how the ball broke, vertical and horizontal. And they can tell you that your 6 inches of break and your 6 inches of run is not enough. We need 8 depth and 6 will be fine this way, or we need 8 this way and 6 will be fine this way. And now you're experimenting. And every time I change the grip, it changes pressure. And then it changes pressure here, it changes pressure here, it changes pressures here. And now I want to do it at full velocity because I want to see what my spin's going to be like and my pitch break's going to be like in the game. Because if I can get the measurements that actually get the ball off the barrel, then I'm going to go win a Cy Young. I'm going to win all my games, and I got to do this and that. And then I got to practice it. Well, you can't do that and stay healthy.
Yeah. Now my arm's shredded.
Yeah, you can't. You know, I had my sinker, and my adjustments were not anything grip pressure, but just making sure I did what I know is right consistently.
I have so many pitching questions.
Go for
like,
it. I'll go baseball boogie another time.
But I almost like
In
want
another
to save
episode,
that
I'll do
for
epi-
another time.
I'll
She
do
doesn't care about the baseball boogie, I guess.
I'll do episode 155.
We're busting out 2 episodes a week because you said you're coming on for
now we're busting it.
1988. 88 of
What do we
course.
have, 40 minutes yet? Oh my God, they've only gone 20 minutes?
No way.
No, 20 minutes left. So we are at 40.
Oh man, I want to know, like, how do
I'll
you
do
pitch to
another
create a ground
episode.
ball? How do you pitch to create a
Well-
high pop? But I also want to know,
Why
did
does
you
the
ever
hitter-
hear what Vince Scully's reaction was to knowing that he was the motivating factor to get Kirk Gibson to want to play in that game?
Yeah, Vin Scully and Joe Garagiola, when they went over the possible Dodgers that could pinch hit or everything. Yeah, and I was with Gibby up there in the TV room, and when he said, "Get me some ice bags, I'm going to numb these hamstrings up and get out there." So yeah, it definitely was Vinny. I heard him do it, and I watched Gibby get mad. So,
Do you know what Vin's reaction was though to knowing that?
No, I don't know
he was
when
that,
he
'cause I
found
just think
out.
of him being like the sweetest guy,
he is.
and that was a blessing in disguise, of course.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know. I was, I was in Tommy's office when Tommy gave our scouting report to Joe Garagiola, because sometimes announcers will get inside information from their friends, knowing that they're trusted. They're trusted to not give it away on the air, but to be steered in the right direction. So I watched Tommy take our scouting report that Gibby read and knew that Eckersley's probably going to throw a backdoor slider if he gets to a 3-2 count against the lefty. And that was written by Mel Didier with his southern accent from Louisiana. And I saw Tommy put the scouting report in the bag and give it to Garagiola, and I was mad. So I was actually listening to a lot of the broadcast. It's because I pitched the last game against the Mets, so I wasn't pitching game one. So I would go up to the TV room every once in a while to scout the Oakland A's because I was going to pitch against them. And I liked to watch on TV, and then I would take the VCR tape home and I would write notes and do it. Well, the big Gibson home run was so exciting, I forgot to take the VCR tape home, and I forgot to make my notes, of course, so I had to ruin my regular regimen on the start day to watch the tape and make notes, and I put it in a little plastic folder like I used to cheat in high school with, on tests. And I knew that I was going to be sweating, and I would sweat during tests too, so I had to put it in plastic.
We don't advise cheating.
No. Oh, give me a break. You guys have Chat GPT now.
True.
I would have never.
No, we have Adam. He's
That's what
better than Chat GPT.
I told the audience at Bowling Green during the commencement speeches, look, I would never been academically ineligible if I'd have had Chat GPT.
Where did you get those references, by the way? You made a couple really funny references.
Oh, I made, my son gave me the one about a bad Tinder date.
Yeah.
I said, hey, and girls, I ghosted classes like you would a bad Tinder date.
Oh, that's so
That was a good line.
Jordan gave me that one, and I had other ones, but I tested them, like getting up there after this great introduction, and then I said on one of them, I know what you're thinking. Yes, I color my hair, but I don't have extensions, girls. Yes. And so that was kind of my worst joke, and they told me drop that one out. On the
Take
third.
that one out the set.
Take that one out. So when you give 3 commencement addresses in one day, you can take, that's good material, that's not good material. And then that's why I think I got the standing ovation for the third one, because finally I got it right.
We need to see the BTS of you giving the speech to all your Legends Attic staff.
Oh,
know,
yeah.
The team.
Oh,
of just
that
like
would be great.
The little practice ones.
Oh, great. Oh my
That's so
gosh.
funny.
This place has gone crazy. Adam now can talk.
He always does. That's half the fun of our
voice of God.
podcast.
I know. Sometimes we look at him because we're like, what do you have to say? And sometimes he's like, I'm not talking right now.
What talk shows do you guys watch where the voice of God off stage talks everyone's like? In my generation, it was Johnny Carson and Ed McMahon. Or
And Letterman, which we saw you on.
Oh.
Yo.
Oh, and I have something to top what you told me.
Ooh, what? What
'Cause
did I
you-
tell you?
You told me that Orel means eagle.
Oh, yeah.
And you learned it from
Slavic.
Letterman.
Yeah.
And I'm going to one-up you
Uh-oh.
and tell you that I listened to another interview with Orel, and he actually learned his name meant eagle from a female athlete when he did a Puma commercial.
Very good. Eating a Quiznos sub with Martina Navratilova.
And you had never learned what your name meant?
No,
Well, are you Czech?
I guess I am. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know when I'm at dinner I get the check, but other than that.
But
No.
even seeing you on Letterman, after 88, you became that became a celebrity.
I had,
What
like-
What was life like for you?
I had like 1.5 years to be, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, that kind of life.
But
And
even
it's
Did you
weird.
enjoy it?
It's weird.
Yeah.
It is really weird. Los Angeles is really a star community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not a world champion, you're not the guy. But Magic is the guy.
well, that's
and
the
then
thing is on
Gretzky
the
is
same
the
year
guy.
the Lakers won,
Right,
and
all
so
of
it was like, were you guys going to each other's games? Because I see people now they go to but what's that? Do you and Magic see each
I
other
had-
and you're like 88
no.
champs?
Hey, bro.
Because it didn't happen again on the same year till 2020.
Yeah. No, I had the blinders on.
Okay.
And, you can get invited to the A parties. You can go to all the sporting events and sit in a suite and talk with the owners. You can be on the floor at the Laker game or the Clipper game, or I don't even think the Clippers existed then. But I did some of that, but I didn't do as much of it as I could have with the brand that way. It's one of my biggest regrets is that during that time, my so-called heyday and the Dodgers' heyday, that I didn't build more relationships with very strong, influential people that wanted to be around me. I really was more of a, nope, I got to do my off-season workout. I got to get my right diet. I got to get my sleep. I got to raise my kids. Because I would go to the grocery store. My wife would send me up to the grocery store to get milk and eggs. And by the time we got out of the car, if there were people coming out that saw me, they were turning around and going back in. And we would get to the eggs and we'd get to the milk, and it's only one section, right? And you're turning around. By the time I turned around and got to the cash register, there was 20, 25 people.
Yeah.
And now I got a newborn, Jordan, and I got Quentin, who's 4, just clinging onto my leg like dad, dad, dad. And so how do you have that normal father-son Aaron and just one more autograph, Quentin, then we'll get home. Oh, okay, but are we going to do this? So I'm sure it was very tough for them as they went through it. I mean, when we won in Cleveland and went to the parade and there were speeches, Jordan is now 95. He is 7 years old, 8 years old, and I'm giving a speech in the town square of Cleveland after we lose in either one of the World Series, and I'm up there speaking at the podium, and he's standing at the podium like, staring up at me.
Well, when I first met him, I asked, like, what is it like? And he goes, I'll be honest, when that's all you know, that's all you know. And he goes, and I'm extremely proud of my dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets 2 questions at least 5 times a day, or 2 comments. Boy, you're tall, because he's 6'8".
Yep.
And is your dad Orel Hershiser? He answers those or has that comment 5 to 10 times a day.
Wow.
And he's finally kind of learning it. It has nothing to do with pride. He wanted to make it on his own. He's 36 now. He wanted to make it on his own. And he's finally learning that this Hershiser name and having a network and getting an introduction because of it is a positive thing in his life.
Absolutely.
But at first it was more like, I got this, Dad.
But that's great for a man to have that, and I think in himself to always want to get his own. And I think that, but it is true when you lean into the rooms you can get into. It's now really up to you to do that. So
it's kind of funny though, right? When it's your dad compared to your friend's dad does it. Everybody does it. Everybody has a network. Everybody hopes to have a better network. And it's so I don't understand. I didn't with Jordan, and I used to not scold him, but semi-lecture him as I can get on a soapbox. You guys don't know that. But I just, I'm like, Jordan, this is natural. It's okay to use Hershiser. It's okay that you're tall. It's okay that you say, yes, that's my dad. It's okay that I can introduce you to some people, because that's what a network is. It just so happens to be me.
And I want to challenge you a little bit on what you said and maybe having a regret of not networking enough in that height of your career, because I think what is most special to me about you is the impact you make on so many people and create these long-lasting memories in a moment of just looking them in the eyes, giving them your time, and making them feel special. You did that for me when I was a lost girl at hostessing at Spago, and you let me wear your ring and take a picture and introduce you to the chefs in the kitchen. And that enhanced my love of the Dodgers. I heard Skip Shoemaker met you as a kid. You made such an impression on him by just giving him a little bit of your time that he chose 55 to be his first number.
Yeah.
And I just think there's nothing more special than creating a moment for someone. And you do that to everyone who meets you. And when everyone talks about you, it's just you being so genuine and kind.
It just feels so shallow to me to be a celebrity. It feels so much more important, and it's better to give than to receive. And you can't give unless you look at somebody and talk to them. You have to be present. And even when there's 13 to 14 people and some other people you see in the background walking up because they want to either overhear a conversation or get an autograph or have a piece of you in some way, to be present with the person that's in front of me is actually even more special for these people that are trying to get at me, because they're like actually seeing a real conversation and a real interaction. And I think it feels better to me than me, okay, oh yeah, thank you so much. Oh, that's so shallow. And like go to a cocktail party. My wife she's a great meter of people and a great conversationalist. I like the deep stuff.
Me too.
I like to go to dinner with 1 or 2 couples. I don't want to go where there's 16 people and have 16 shallow conversations. I want to go where we talk about real things and real life and concentrate on it. I want to give an opinion and I want to be wrong, because if I'm wrong, I've got a chance to learn. And if I'm right, I want to shut up quickly so I can actually get something out of the other person. I don't want to just sit there and be the expert. I mean, if we're talking baseball or pitching, of course, I'm going to be the one doing all the talking. Unless John Smoltz and Tom Glavine and Greg Maddox are there, then I'm going to shut up and listen to them, you know? So yeah, I appreciate that you notice that. And I tell people when I'm complimented on my personality or whatever we're talking about, I just say I had good parents. I had good parents. My mom and dad taught me that you can learn from the person sweeping the floors as much as you can learn from the president. And you can respect the person sweeping the floors as much as you respect the president. And the only way to do that is to pay attention and be present.
I loved this little story I learned about your mom, how she would ask you to sign balls and trade them with people.
To get my home
And
run
also
ball.
just how proud she was that you were her son, and
So
to just
cute.
be like boasting about you. That's so sweet. And actually, in the theme of Mother's Day, since it's coming up, we had our moms come up with 2 questions for you.
I love it.
So,
I love it.
you
Do
want
you want to
to
start with Cindy or Chella?
start? Let's start with Chella,
Okay.
Jacqueline's mom,
My mom. She
who's a
has-
big Dodger fan.
With a name like Ruiz, I figured that was Chella over here.
Well, her name's Graciela. She was born in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so Chella says,
Uh-huh.
who was a mentor that has left the most impact in your career?
Well, we've gone over 3 of them, Mom, Dad, and Tommy Lasorda. I would say next, I could name my Mount Rushmore, because actually at my Legends ceremony, I mentioned a few people, and I'm sorry I'm going over her number, because if I pick one, I'll feel bad about the others. So Sandy Koufax, Don Drysdale, Rick Honeycutt, and Dave Wallace. Sandy Koufax pitching, how to stand on the rubber, leverage the body, be there next to me, come and help me when I was going through slumps. Don Drysdale, announcer on the team, shows you how to be a man's man, doesn't allow excuses when you break down pitching or a game, and amazing announcer, an amazing man. And then, you know, Rick Honeycutt, my catch buddy, my mentor, my older guy on the team that I could kind of follow along. And we played a lot of golf together. We did a lot of things together. And then Dave Wallace, minor league pitching instructor, and really a huge student of all 3 of the guys I just mentioned. But he had it all together of everything they had
Wow.
as a coach. So good question,
That's
Mom.
really cool. And from Cindy
Cindy,
wants
with
to
a Y
know
or an I?
why.
Okay.
In preparing for a game, what was your ritual or words you would say to yourself?
Wow. So the game had a ritual of these are the things I do at what time. So it's a 7:05 game, and then I calculate back, let's say, an hour and 40 minutes. And then at an hour and 40 minutes, I'm going to have my gym shorts on. I'm going to be ready to go get a massage. And then I'm going to be ready for my arm stretch. And then I'm going to go to my locker, and I'm going to do my stretching of the rest of my body. And then I'm going to put my uniform on. And then I get to here where I go get my bats, and I go organize the bat rack and my helmet. And then I come and get, you know, everything else I need, my glove, my jacket. I've got all the different things I'm going to need. And then here I go with like 35 minutes before the game, I walk to the bullpen. And then I'm in the bullpen, I kind of sit there, and I've been reading the scouting report, and I've been doing that, and I'm on top of it. And now it's about 20 minutes before the game starts, and I start to play catch. And it took me about 20 minutes. And then the national anthem comes, and when the national anthem comes, that's kind of like my break between innings. So I have the warm-ups, and I'm all locked in, I'm ready to go. But now I need to be able to take a rest that's forced on you in between innings, or the national anthem, sit down, have a glass of water, towel off, take that for at least, you know, national anthem 3.5 minutes or whatever it is, but wait another 1.5 minutes, so it's like 5 minutes. My team was 3 up, 3 down. Now all of a sudden I got to go back on the mound. I go to the mound and I throw like 8 semi-warm-up pitches like I'm in the game, and then I face one batter, and now I'm gone, and I'm going to pitch. It doesn't matter if that regimen goes well or goes poorly. I've been the worst in the bullpen and gone out and thrown a 2-hit shutout, and I've been awesome in the bullpen and gone out and gotten bombed. Did I answer the question?
Did you have any like a mantra or anything you would say to yourself?
Mentally, There was no mantra. There was definitely prayers.
I'm the Bulldog.
No, nothing like that. But you know what? I found out that I get scared and distracted when I don't take care of my eyes. So my eyes were the key. My eyes were usually all the way down when I went through that whole regimen with you of massage, stretch, all the different things. I'm walking to and from different places, looking at the blue carpet in the Dodger locker room, or looking at the cement, looking at my spikes. My eyes are down, because if my eyes are up, I see Gibby over here putting his clothes on. I see Soch over here doing this. I see Tommy bellowing and talking to Don Rickles in his office. I see the trainer working on one of my left fielders that looks like he has a tight hamstring. I don't know, should I change my pitch selection, keep the ball away from him? I see all this stuff that doesn't lead me to execution. And I knew that on the mound also. I could see the San Diego Chicken. I could see Tommy yelling Bulldog. I could see Mike Scioscia, and the umpire comes down late to get ready for the call. And so I figured out that most of my fear and most of my anxiety and my lack of concentration at times was my eyes. And so my eyes were always down, and I gave myself stimuluses on what I could think about when I was in certain places. So when I was on the grass, I thought about the situation, and I allowed my eyes to come up and say, double play here, me and the shortstop. I could look at the flag and see how the wind had adjusted. I could do whatever. First and second, I need a ground ball here. Okay. And then when I was on the dirt of the mound, I said, what pitch will get me what I just thought about? Sinkers away. I need a breaking ball in the dirt. And then when I got on the rubber, it was about just the pitch, just the execution of the pitch. There was no hitter. There was no fans. There was no noise. There was no second baseman or shortstop. There was no flag blowing. It was just a pitch. And that was started with my feet on the rubber, and then the dirt, and then the grass, and then the dirt, and then home plate, and then my catcher's fingers. And I know now they use pitch comm, and I wouldn't have, I didn't have pitch comm, but I saw the fingers. I saw the glove, I took a breath, and I did it.
Wow.
And that robotic thing was totally a defense mechanism, running from defeat again.
Wow.
Running from anxiety, running from fear, running from, oh my God, this is the big leagues. Oh my God, that's Dale Murphy. Oh my God, that's Pete Rose. Oh my God, that's Mike Schmidt. Oh my God, so-and-so's on, Willie Stargell's on deck. I'm like, those are the guys I grew up, and they were my heroes, and they were my idols, and now I got to get them out. Like, I can't.
Almost like getting into
I'm not
your
looking
own
at
little
those
world.
guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my way to get into the quote unquote, tunnel vision or the zone. I studied with a man named Jim Fannin, who taught me about this thing called the zone, and he called it SCORE. And I don't know if I'll remember it all. Pressure's on. So the S stands for self-discipline. The C stands for confidence. The O in SCORE stands for optimism. The R stands for relaxation, and the E stands for enjoyment.
I love that.
And so the O in the middle of optimism is the fulcrum of the teeter-totter. And if your self-discipline and your concentration are too strong, that's going to go over here, and then these are going to be over here, or the other way. And if you are not relaxed and enjoying what you're doing with the fulcrum of optimism in the middle, then that's going to be you're too relaxed and too enjoying this. You're not concentrating enough self-discipline in there. So to give yourself, to know when you're in the zone, you want this to be all balanced, and you want every score that you give the category to be at least a 3. If you said the enjoyment was a 1, then you need to enjoy your work a little bit more. If you said the relaxation was only a 2, then you need to relax a little more.
We're going to use
If
that.
your self-discipline is a 5 and the enjoyment's a 1, you're going to be out of balance. You're going to be like locked up.
Well, so much of baseball and
Right?
this mindset just relates
You
to
can look
life.
it up on the internet. Look up Jim Fannin and SCORE. It's his,
We
it's his
absolutely
stuff.
will.
But I used that after learning. And when I worked with him and heard about him, I already did all this, but you just process it differently. You do
Yeah.
all the things I just said, and you probably are running it through your head. Yeah, I know what he's talking about. I've had
Yeah,
days
it
where
makes
I'm
so much
locked up and concentrating too much, and I'm not enjoying life.
Yeah, my enjoyment's like
Yeah. And when
More
I go
enjoyment.
when I go out late at night, I've done too much of the R and the E.
you're right.
Well, we have a quick lightning round for you, but before
boy.
we get to that, so I've been wanting to ask you this for a while.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be a Dodger?
So I'm still a Dodger. There was a little break there when I was with ESPN for 11 years, and then I was a Texas Ranger pitching coach for about 3.5 in there. It means that you're standing on the shoulders of the people that came before you, and they did a magnificent job. Can go back all the way to the O'Malleys bringing, the Brooklyn Dodgers to Los Angeles. You can go back to Vin Scully and Jaime Jarrín broadcasting to the world, but especially Los Angeles in Spanish and in English. You can go back to Tommy Lasorda and then all my teammates, and it's a special organization. But the word Dodgers for me, it's more about people than it is about the team. I know for a fan, it's like the colors, the jersey, the team, and who's on it this year, and we're going to win. But for somebody who got to live it, being a Dodger is really, really special because of the people that take it serious. And they are taking it very serious in this generation. Mark
Yep.
Wahlberg and Stan Kasten and Lon Rosen and Andrew Friedman and the whole baseball part and the players and Dave Roberts. You're talking about Hall of Famers. I mean, Stan Kasten's going to be a Hall of Famer. Mark Wahlberg might end up being a Hall of Famer. Dave Roberts for sure is going to be a Hall of Famer. Andrew Friedman's going to be a Hall of Famer. You're talking about a Hall of Fame organization currently and in the past.
And as a fan, I think last year more than ever, I love hearing our players say how much it means to them to be a Dodger. And when we get the inside scoop in a Backstage Dodgers episode and hear them talking about that,
And there's
as
nothing
my
better.
fandom grows
Yeah.
and as this podcast is from the fans' perspective, that means everything to us.
Because to be honest, it's not just about who's on the team, this and this and that. Like my heart and like my tummy, like I feel it deeper. And like I said, even thinking back to the 88 team, like we were born or not that year, but like even my parents, my dad, my uncles, they've instilled this like, as a little kid, I watched this, like it impacted me. I feel it deeper. And you are a huge part of that. You look back at who you're standing on the shoulders of, but honestly, like you have become that huge pivotal thing that a lot of you're the shoulders people are standing on.
Yeah, it was amazing. Walker Buehler wearing my jersey, hanging tough with him through his difficult times and being there and just having a relationship. And then for him to not put the World Championship T-shirt on, but to put on my jersey was just really special. And
Where is that jersey?
we have it.
Yeah, you got it back, right?
Yeah, I got it back from him. It's got some stains in it and smells a little different. His wife was like, "We should dry clean this." I'm like, "Don't. It's more valuable. It's got
Stories.
It's got the dirt from the World Series, and it's got other things now."
All right, are you ready for a quick lightning round?
I'm ready.
All right.
Back and forth.
Back and forth. All right. Number 1, favorite ballpark to pitch at?
Wow, Dodger Stadium. After Dodger Stadium, pitcher's park, I would pick something like Candlestick because you could really play the wind, or Shea Stadium because you could play the airplanes.
Okay. Toughest batter you faced?
Statistically, you can go back and see like Craig Biggio or some low ball hitting lefty because I didn't like pitching to guys who wore the armor because you got to pitch them in, but then they can still get hit. So, yeah, Biggio as a right-handed hitter, I think he absolutely owned me.
Kevin Biggio's dad?
Yeah. Wow, that's good history
I know.
over
Good
there.
job.
Whoa.
Best teammate you've had?
Oh, I can't say that, but I didn't, everybody. But ones that pop into my head right away: Mike Scioscia, Eddie Murray. Believe it, when I was with the Indians was unbelievable. Rick Honeycutt on the Mount Rushmore. Matt Young, who I live in the same neighborhood with now, was a great teammate, but we were only teammates like a year and a half. But yeah, Dave Anderson, Billy Russell, Bert Hooton.
Everyone.
I know.
Yeah, everybody who made an impact.
I love that. Favorite post-game meal?
Oh, wow. In-N-Out Burger, because it means I won.
Yeah.
See, that was a tradition in our family. If I
Love
won
that.
my start, we would go to In-N-Out.
Joe Kelly loves In-N-Out Burger.
In-N-Out,
So do we.
for sure. And I'd get a shake. I'd break my diet. But if I lost, we didn't go.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
One word to describe Tommy.
Passionate.
What's more nerve-wracking, pitching Game 7 or live TV?
Wow. Same preparation, same nerves, same, once it starts, they go away. So a good game on TV that I get to broadcast is very easy because the game is speaking. I don't have to.
Yeah.
And a good game in Game 7, the game is speaking, and I don't have to because it's going good. It's going good.
All right, last one. What do you want us to know to better understand pitchers?
Wow.
What is something you would wish fans understood more?
That they're not all pitchers.
Yeah.
That a lot of them are throwers, and pitching is being able to adapt to the whole situation of what you have, what the elements are, what the scoreboard says, where you are in the order, what your offense is doing, and how much support you're getting. What side of the field do you want the ball hit to, in the air, on the ground? So a lot of this in the current generation is put into data, and the data just tells them what to do. And I think they miss an element, and I don't want to sound like old man get off my lawn, but they miss an element of finesse and reading the situation compared to just listening to the data and the pitch comm. And then, because, you know, when Mike Socher or Steve Yeager or Sandy Alomar or whoever was my catcher put down a finger, there's an image that comes into your head because of where the wind's blowing, and if you need a ground ball or fly ball, or if you need a strike, or it's okay to make it look like a strike, end up a ball. And so there's a vision of, this is what I want the sinker to do. This is what I want the curveball to do. And you are trying to match that image and that strategy with the execution. It's not just a curveball. It's not just a slider. It's not just a fastball in. It's a pitch. And the pitch has a spray pattern, and it has a spray pattern that you can know more about if you paid attention to your spray pattern before that pitch with that pitch. So it's really important. And pitching and watching a foul ball and watching a swing and watching a guy how he gets into the box, or watching him walk from the on-deck circle to the batter's box, watching him in pressure situations when you're not in the game, watching him in leading off an inning and the score 7-0 compared to leading off an inning and the score is 1-0. Guys change. They change. And you should be able to pick up on all those cues.
Wow. Well, Dr. Hershiser, thank you for coming on episode 55. Thank you for your support of Talk Dodgers to me, of us. One of my favorite things since starting this podcast has really been sitting and listening and learning from you.
Aw.
And I can't wait to continue doing that.
Oh, you're trying to get me to come on more shows, huh? Uh-huh. I see what you're doing.
I mean,
We're just
why
trying to
not?
end up in the booth.
You want to take my job?
No.
No, we just want a tour.
Oh, you can come in the booth. You can come in the booth. You can't. Maybe you
He'll
can.
take your job.
Oh, yeah. I
We
wasn't-
didn't even get any questions from Adam. I mean, I'm already
Did our
thinking
camera
of more.
overheat? Was this just such a hot show the camera melted down?
No, we're good.
Oh.
I have
This
a
is
billion questions, but I'll save
So
them for
much
future
fun.
episodes.
And I already have one that I'm going to ask you as soon as we wrap.
Why don't you,
But-
Adam, why don't you ask one?
One
And
that comes
you
to
can
mind.
use it as a tease for the show.
Sure. Somebody that you measured yourself against during your career. Was there a pitcher, or was there even a hitter that you said, if I can get that guy out, then I'm doing all right? Or is there a pitcher that you looked at and said, I compare myself to him? It's not, you don't necessarily have to, it's not a rival, and it's not somebody you didn't like. It's just somebody that you measured yourself
Yeah, I
against.
think Jackie and Melissa both kind of asked this question, and you might have been specific with it. It was more like,
Maybe who you measured during playing, right?
yeah, the key is
Your
the
competition.
the measurements are more about execution. Like Danny Jackson was the guy in the running for the Cy Young in '88. So of course I started watching his outings when all of a sudden we get to, August and September, you look at the 2 or 3 candidates that are there. The guy who pitched the day before on your own team, if he did well, you want to go and get a win also. You want to be the best pitcher on your staff. It's a healthy competition to want that. So that was where the measurement was. The internal measurements of like that guy throws harder than me, or that guy has a better curveball than me, or that guy has better command than me. That was more, those could be goals, but I wasn't chasing velocity. I was chasing wins, So those tools, I know what it was. I pitched for 17 years in the big leagues, 21 professionally. How do you do it all the way to almost 42 years old? You don't put a square peg into a round hole. You have to understand yourself and how to apply yourself to the situation. And you have to study all the situations, because there's guys winning and losing throwing the ball 80 miles an hour in the big leagues, and there's guys winning and losing throwing it 100. So there's got to be something other than velocity. And then there's guys with great movement that are winning and losing, and there's guys guy who throws it straight. Well, then that's got to be more about location, not movement or throwing it straight. And then there's guys that can't change speeds, and there's guys that can, and maybe one doesn't have deception in his delivery. So there's the equation, and the situation is all in front of you. From every player and pitcher and game, it's all out there. And as your abilities change, you have to adapt with who you are. You can't have an ego and say, well, I know I don't throw 95 anymore, but I'm still going to throw this pitch. No, you can't. I know my curveball's a little round, so I guess my strategy should be I need to throw more high fastballs so that at least there's some differential between that roundness in the curveball and the fastball. But if I still throw 3 curveballs in a row that are round, the hitter's going to read it by the third one and probably get a hit. So you've got to be able to put a round peg into a round hole and a square peg into a square hole as you change through the years.
As we wrap up, what are your thoughts on the current team?
Well, they're going to win.
Back to back?
They're going to win, north of 110 games. They have a good chance of going back to back because they're guaranteed almost to go in the playoffs with this roster. But once you get into the playoffs, it's kind of a crapshoot. Now, their roulette wheel, if you say there's Dodger blue on the roulette wheel and then the rest of the teams are red and it's blue and red, they're going to have 70% of the wheel.
Wow.
The ball still can fall in the other 30 spaces if there's 100 spaces, right? So that's the postseason. The regular season, the wheel is probably 90% blue and 10% red. That's why they're going to win all the games they're going to win. But you're still going to have to get into that roulette wheel of the playoffs. And because you're only playing the other best teams, you're only facing probably the 3 or 4 top starters on that team. You're only facing the 2 or 3 best relievers on that team. And so that roulette wheel goes from 90-10 in your favor to, 70-30, 65-35. And that's why it's a little bit more of a crapshoot or a roulette wheel. So they have a very good chance of doing it. But baseball has funny ways of making bad teams beat good teams and good teams beat bad teams. And
who's the hot team?
they're going to lose 7 games in a row. They're going to lose 7.
Don't tell me that.
They will. If you go back and look at world champions and look at their 162 game schedule, you'll see 7 game losses in August, 7 game losses in April.
Yeah. Do you hear that, people? So don't get alarmed.
Well,
it happens.
We get alarmed. If we lose 3 in a row. I think
know.
the fan base gets alarmed, and it's getting worse because there's gambling now. So, what percentage of people in the stand?
Player.
I know, you're a poker player. You're over here talking about craps and roulette.
Well, I'm just, because I live in Vegas in the off season. Well, no, really, for taxes, I live there all year. Now I'm going to get audited.
I could keep going on and on,
I
but we'll
know.
save that for the next time you're on here. And again, thank you for
Thank you
coming
so
on
much. It was
so
a
much.
pleasure.
Always great talking to you.
All right. Thank
And
you.
as always,
you guys are amazing.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.
Go Dodgers.